This took me a ridiculously long time to film, much longer than normal, so please enjoy it, I'm begging you. Here's the 100 Heads Challenge. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well. If you don't know what the 100 Heads Challenge is, it's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. It was made by Ahmed Al-Douri. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. I'm so sorry. But I will link his video in the description box down below of him doing the challenge. And then I'll also link in the description the references I use, like on Pinterest and everything. The board is also by him. So, basically, the challenge is you have to draw 100 heads. It's crazy. Typically, people will draw 100 heads in 10 days, and so they'll draw 10 heads a day, and then after 10 days, they'll have the full 100 heads. But your boy don't got time for that. I'm on a schedule. I'm on a tight schedule. So, yeah, I couldn't do that. I needed this to be done by today. So, I didn't do 10. I averaged about 20 a day. Basically, I would start it the moment I woke up and work on it until I didn't want to work on it anymore that day, which averaged out to about 20 heads a day. Sometimes it was more, sometimes it was less. It really just depends on the day. And I finished it in roughly 5 days, again, give or take. I wasn't actually counting, I probably should have. A lot of people who attempt this challenge approach it in different ways, and the type of approach that you have really depends on what you want to get out of a challenge. I'll talk about what I wanted a little bit later, but I just wanted to do all pen sketches. So I used my favorite ballpoint pens. They are the Bic Round Stick Grip. A lot of people ask me what ballpoint pens I used to sketch with. It's that. I have them in a bunch of different colors. And also, since you can't erase with a ballpoint pen, I have post-it notes handy. For the most part, if I make a mistake in my art, I just try and live with it. But if there's a mistake that's like super obvious and I know for a fact that I could do better, I will use a post-it note. I didn't use them a whole lot. I definitely used tiny pieces on each page, but for the most part, like, most of the drawings were just straight up pen with no corrections. And then also, just to add touches to the page, I used my Zebra mild liner highlighters. I would pick 2 per spread and just use them to put color blocks in the back of my favorite heads on the page, and then just add some extra pizzazz like I often do in my sketchbook pages. Of course, you don't need the same supplies that I use. You can use any sketching material. You can even use pencil if you want. I just prefer to sketch in pen. You can use any types of pen. You can erase. You don't have to use these highlighters. Whatever you want. The world is your oyster. This is just what works for me for sketching. And normally what I like to do is I'll put nice. And what I like to do when I'm sketching is I'll have 2 pens of the same color but like different shades, and then I'll use the lighter one to put down like the rough base thing, like the layout. Is that the right word? Whatever. After I put that down, I will use the darker color on top of that to help refine it, and that's when I really start chiseling away at it and putting it onto the details. Some people who I've seen do this challenge have done a bunch of different types of media. Like, some people will use graphite, and then they'll also, just to mix it up a little bit, they'll throw in some watercolor, or they'll use inks, or they'll use acrylics or gouache, whatever it is. For me, I wanted to have all of the sketches just be in pen because of what I wanted out of the challenge. I didn't want to get distracted by the medium I was using and trying to make that look nice. And also, just another quick note, because there's so many heads, there isn't any real-time footage. If you're a newcomer to this channel, hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Grab a snack, stay a while. Get yourself comfy. Normally in my speed paint videos, I like to have a mixture of both sped up footage and real-time footage, and the real-time footage will have like a closer up burp. They'll have like a closer up shot of what I'm doing, but because of how many heads there are, like, I just couldn't do that because, I mean, this video is already sped up a whole lot, and to be honest, I don't even know if I'll have enough to talk about to fill all the space I already have. If I did real-time footage, it would just be way too long, so I'm sorry. I mean, I figured that was the best thing I could do, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. So, why did I want to attempt this challenge? Well, I'm glad you asked, nobody. There are 3 main reasons, and I guess I'll talk about, like, the least significant ones first, and then lead up to the more important ones, which you probably already know, because it's the title of this video. The first reason is I wanted to study face structure, which I've never actually studied before. Like, I've drawn realistic pictures of people before, but I've never actually sat down and tried to like think about what I was drawing when it came to a human face. I really wanted to focus on like the bone structure and where that makes the shading fall and what parts would be highlighted because they pop out more. I really love to shade things and render things in my art style, but to be honest, when it came to the face, I pretty much always just guess, and that can cause the face structure to look a little not the best. It can look kind of shitty sometimes. Like, I think it's passable a lot of the times, but it's not always accurate. There's definitely some stuff that I could improve on, so that was definitely a goal in this challenge. The second one is drawing people of different races. I definitely try to have my art and my characters be as diverse as I could possibly make them, but there's definitely some stuff that I can improve on. I want my art to be diverse and inclusive, but I also feel like if I'm going to try to do that, I need to try and make it as accurate as I possibly can. Let me take that moment to say, let me know if I'm ever doing anything like inaccurate or anything. Like, I'm not trying to spread misinformation or trying to like misrepresent certain communities, and so if I ever say anything incorrect or anything, it's not my intention to spread misinformation. Sometimes I just don't know. I'd like to clarify a lot of the times. If I'm unsure of something, I'll say I don't know, but here's what I think. But sometimes like I don't know, sometimes I just think I'm right about something even though I'm not, so feel free to leave any comments correcting me on absolutely anything if it's incorrect. Just thought I'd throw that in here. Back to the actual drawing. I am a white Hispanic person, and so a lot of the people that I draw look white, Hispanic, or both. And I definitely try to draw different races, but I mean, I could change a hairstyle and skin tone, but that doesn't necessarily mean they look like their race. It's something that I think I've gotten better at over the years, but it's still something I could improve upon, so that was another goal of this challenge, is to make people look right. I guess. I don't know if that's the best way to phrase that, but. And lastly, big boy of the video, I really wanted to tackle my same face syndrome. Now, I'll be the first to say, it's definitely an issue in my art, and I don't know if anybody else can really relate to this, but I feel like I have same face syndrome, but for like 3 different faces, I guess. And then those faces will go on different characters depending on like their character type. So I'll have feminine face 1, feminine face 2, and then masculine face. And so I really wanted to focus on making my characters unique. And I have a lot of characters. That's something that subscribers of my channel and returning viewers will know. So it's not always a bad thing if I have 2 characters that look similar, especially if they're related or something. And in terms of character design, there are similar elements that will be incorporated in a few different characters if they have kind of similar personalities, but I still wanted to focus on making them more unique and more distinctive in their own faces. And also, returning viewers of my channel will know I'm currently working on a webcomic. I promise, I promise I am working on it. Everyone wants to know where it is or when it's coming out. Nothing is out yet, and I am so sorry, but I am working soon. I promise you. I say that a lot, but very, very soon. Please bear with me. In my comic, there are a lot of different characters. Like, I didn't expect the cast to get so big, but there are a lot of different characters, and I feel like, especially if you are making a comic, it's important to have your characters distinct. I feel like you can tell who each of my characters are based off of, like, their clothing and their hairstyle and their color schemes, but in terms of their facial structure, a lot of my characters can seem way too similar or identical in some cases. And so I really wanted to be able to draw my characters looking different and just to destroy my same face syndrome. I got a comment a little while back on my channel that they noticed the way that I'm drawing eyes have gotten smaller. I used to draw super large stylized anime eyes, and I can still draw pretty large eyes every now and again, but I would say for the most part, it's not something I really do a whole lot anymore. And that was a conscious choice. And basically, like, I do want to work on my same face syndrome, and it's something I've been wanting to work on for a while. And even though this challenge is really me trying to tackle it head on and really, really hone in on that issue in my art, it's something that I have had in the back of my mind pretty much every single time I make a drawing, so it's kind of crazy. I fixed it by now, but it's hard to make your faces look different when half of the head is the eyeball. So I really wanted to just burp, I guess. I really wanted to change the way that I drew eyes, and I wanted to be able to make a face that looks in my style, but also not drawing the same face over and over again. And so by drawing the heads in this challenge, which I'll talk a little bit about more in a little bit, I noticed so many things that like can make a face different. One of which is the hairline. I never really thought about different hairlines before. Some people can have a widow's peak, some people cannot. Some people can have like a pretty straight across hairline. I forgot what I was talking about mid-sentence, but it's fine. Some people, like on the, I guess the temples of their head, the hair can be farther back. Some people can have a hairline farther down. Some people can have a hairline further back. That's something that I've definitely noticed. There's also ears, the shape of them, the placement of them. Nose shapes is something I've really wanted to work on for a long time. I feel like pretty much every single nose I draw is the same, but I definitely have learned a lot about drawing noses. That's good. Noses were always just weird to me. Noses are pretty ugly, not gonna lie. I don't know, call me crazy. I think I was pretty okay at drawing different eye shapes before doing this challenge, but I think I just tended to gravitate towards the same like 2 or 3. But I definitely practiced a lot of different eye shapes. And one thing that I found that I really like drawing, I don't know if they would be considered bags, but the pot, oh my god. What is wrong with me? The spot underneath the eye where it kind of looks like a bag, but it's not a bag because I have bags and they do not look like that. But I really liked drawing those, and I really want to incorporate that into my art style. Probably not in every piece, probably will depend, but I really like drawing that. Mouths are another thing I've noticed. Sometimes the lips can be bigger, sometimes the mouth can be wider, sometimes the mouth can be taller. There's a lot. I learned a lot about drawing faces. I think the hardest part for me in terms of drawing different faces is like the face shape itself. And even after this challenge, like I think I've gotten pretty good at drawing a variety of facial features, but in terms of like the actual face shape and like the jaw and the cheekbones and everything, I mean, I've definitely improved by doing this challenge, but I think it's something that I still want to work a little bit more on, and something I think I'm going to be more conscious of in the future. Good job. I know how to talk. Basically, I have a hard time drawing the shape. I can draw like a height of a head. I can draw like shorter heads, I could draw longer heads, and I can draw heads somewhere in the middle. And then I can draw heads that are like square and round, but I know that there are more head shapes than just square and round. I think by doing this challenge, I've gotten a little bit better at drawing more like triangular heads, I guess. Drawing head shapes is still something I want to work on, like I said, but definitely gotten a lot better. That's a good thing. If you are struggling with same face syndrome and you want a couple of things to draw differently on your faces, there's a couple for you. Definitely try and draw them, because the shapes are endless, guys. The possibilities are endless. You'd be surprised with how many different combinations of facial features there are. It's crazy. People are crazy. So, the actual drawings that I made in this video, the references that I used. The first Pinterest board I used was by the creator of this challenge, Ahmed. Pretty confident in saying that. Don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name right. So the first Pinterest board was by him. The Pinterest board itself had 101 pins on it, but also there wasn't exactly 100 heads. The first 2 were thumbnails for his videos, which is fine. And then also, some of the pins were of the same head, but from a different angle. For me personally, I wanted to practice drawing as many different faces as I possibly could, so I didn't want to draw the same head twice, basically. If there was like the same head, but from a different angle, I wouldn't draw that. Sometimes that showed itself in a separate pin. Sometimes a pin would be a picture of like the same head, but different angles all combined into that one picture, and in those cases, I just picked the one that I liked the most, and then for the other ones, it was just whichever one I came across first. And then another thing, some of the pictures were actually duplicates in the board, and so of course I skipped by those because I already drew them. And so the original board, by the time I finished, there was, I believe, 94 heads. So what I actually did is I found another head of the 100 heads challenge, which has pretty much all of the same heads. It was made by somebody else, but they like numbered them, and they had a couple of other heads that I wanted to draw, and so I drew those ones. But even then, I still ended up at 98, so I don't know if I just missed one, but whatever. I just found 2 heads of my own and it was good, and then boom, 100 heads. I don't know if Ahmed's Pinterest board was originally different. I don't know if it got changed over time. I did see somebody else attempt this challenge and they fell short by 2, so they had 98. They said that they didn't know if they just skipped some in the board. Just thought I'd mention that. I will link all of them down below. I will link Ahmed's Pinterest board, the other Pinterest board, and then the references I used. They will be in a board of my own. I will say that the variety of faces as a whole was incredible. There was so many diverse faces. There were men, women, people who looked androgynous. There was all different types of ages, races, angles, expressions. And there was also a combination of photographs, statues, and sculptures. Most of them, I would say, were photographs. And then there was also a lot of both real life clay sculptures. Yes. There's also like a lot of sculptures made by other artists that were a lot more stylized, both traditionally and digitally. And there was also quite a few pictures of stone statues. And I really liked those varieties, because if you are trying to study facial structures and like different races and stuff, like at 2 of the goals that I wanted, I would say that it's a lot better to study from real life pictures in those cases. But then also being able to see like the statues and the sculptures, it really gave me an idea of how other artists stylize a face while still having the structure be accurate. So that was a really good thing for me. I definitely learned a lot. One thing that I will say is that I wish the board was a lot more mixed around. I felt like a lot of similar pictures were grouped in together. So like, for example, right towards like the end, like the last half, I would say, there was just a bunch of similar like sculptures of old men. And like, I definitely wanted to practice that, and I think having as many as there was is important. I just wish that it was a little bit more mixed throughout the Pinterest board, because I felt myself getting not really bored, but just like tired, I guess, of drawing such similar things back to back. Really, that's my only complaint about the Pinterest board. I think the pictures themselves were incredible. I think they were all amazing choices. I loved them. 10 out of 10. So, in conclusion, do I recommend this challenge? Absolutely. 100%. So, there are some challenges that you could do just for fun, right? Like, I would say like blind contouring could be considered like a challenge. Like in the YouTube art world, that's considered a challenge. And even though there are benefits to that, it's mostly just for fun. I feel like this is a challenge that you shouldn't really do just for fun, and you should have a purpose behind it, but I would definitely recommend doing it. It's a great challenge. So like I said, things that I wanted to focus on were studying face structure, drawing different races, and fixing same face syndrome. But I have seen other people who attempt this challenge who want to do things like practicing different types of media and get into a habit of sketching more often. There are plenty of reasons for you to do this challenge, but like I mentioned earlier, the purpose that you have for doing this challenge will really change your approach. That is why all of my sketches were just strictly pen sketches. I did have different colors just to mix it up, but the way that you go about it really just depends on what you want from it, so that's something that I would really think about and consider before doing this challenge, but I would absolutely recommend doing this challenge. It might have taken a long time. It might have been all of my day consisted of for about 5 days, but I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And a fun fact, I've actually drawn a little bit after this challenge. I am planning on making a sketch vlog just to kind of recap what I've learned in here and see how to apply what I've learned into my own style. But just after a couple of drawings I've done after this, the first one I've done after doing this challenge, I actually had to take a minute to adjust back into my regular style. But then after that, I do definitely see a difference already. And even though I haven't had a whole lot of time to really think about how to apply it to my style, there's definitely been an improvement already. So absolutely, I would recommend this. It does take a lot of time though, just beware. So I would have to recommend it at a time where you will have time. like if you're on a vacation or something, or you just have a very open schedule, I would recommend doing it then. Also, probably not as quickly as I did it. I would say try and do it in 10 days. I just have that YouTuber life, man. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the 100 Heads challenge. I hope that you liked it. I definitely had a lot of fun. I'm a little bit dead, but it's fine. It's a challenge, really a challenge, if it doesn't make you feel dead at some point. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and feel free to comment down below any questions you have about this challenge. I'll do my best to answer them, and also let me know what heads are your favorite. If you're new here, hello, my name is Oliver. I post a lot of art in this channel. I post every single Wednesday. I would really appreciate it if you stuck around. We're getting so close to 100,000 subscribers. Please help a bro out. I'm begging you. You can follow me on social media, which will be on screen now and linked in the description box below. I would recommend following me on Instagram if you want to know what my favorites are. Go over to Instagram, I'll be posting my favorites. And that's also just where I am most active. I post my art there. I keep you guys updated on videos, etc, etc. And you can also watch a couple more videos of mine if you're interested. Those will be on screen now and linked in the iCard. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.